What's up, everybody? We're back with interview number two. Very fortunate today to have the Wishingrads on, founders of Three Wishes cereal. So let's have them on, ask them some questions, and get to know their brand. Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's up? Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming on. So I have the cereal. Our good friend Kiva connected us. So I have tried it. I'm a fan. Why don't you just take us from the jump? How did you guys get started? When did you launch? Just take us back to the start.
Yeah, so Ian and I have been working together on our first business for the past 5 years. Our background's advertising, and then we're building brands for people all the time, working in food and different consumer product goods. And then when we had our son, I had a moment as a first-time mom when I started to really look at food and ingredients in a completely different way. And so cereal was one of those things recommended to feed your little kid. And I turned to Ian and I'm like, cereal, like that's it. We can create a better cereal that really keeps up with modern ingredients and modern macros, and 2 years of product development later. And then we launched late October, and it's been really, really fun and great.
So yeah, I've always kind of had this desire to create my own brand, not just work and build other people's, but never really had that idea. And then, you see someone reinvents mattresses and someone reinvents razors and all these crazy categories that you would never think to go getting disrupted. But it doesn't mean you have like the big idea. And then when Margaret said cereal, you're like, oh my God, that's it. It's like a powder keg. It has the makings of all the other businesses. It's a bunch of legacy companies that have not done a bunch of innovation. So there's a humongous opportunity here if we can create a better, cooler product. And so I didn't anticipate it would cost so much money and take so much time, which is good, I guess, because it's a very high barrier to entry. You can't just want to go compete with us now and go make a cereal. But so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And as Margaret said, we launched late October. And as we had hoped, there's not been a buyer that hasn't said yes to us. We've been very measured in our rollout approach. Unfortunately, the coronavirus has slowed some of our ability to open more of the doors that we're about to open for us. So we're going to probably get pushed back a quarter. But at least the places that we're at now, like Whole Foods Southern California and Wegmans and every store we're at now, velocities are crazy because everyone's running into the supermarkets thinking it's the apocalypse. So,
right. So that's an interesting point on the barrier to entry. It sounds like obviously having the cash reserve to pull off what you want to, but I worked with a beverage company in the past, and the buyers were very hard to convince because there's new beverages all the time. You said that you guys have never been turned down by grocers or buyers. Is that common, or what? I don't even know the cereal space.
No, and usually the cycle of getting into grocery. So retail is a really hard and long game usually. So we were prepared. We're like, okay, it's going to take a long time to get in there. And as we started to have these meetings, everyone's so excited to finally have a product that not only has great ingredients and a great nutritional profile, but tastes just like childhood cereal. And that is like such a win for everybody. And so there it is.
Some of the buyers were even taking it, just with looking at the packaging. I mean, if you think about cereal as a category, it usually has some character on it and a big bowl of milk and a splash. And what we wanted to do was find the balance of looks and vibes and feels new and fresh, but has the functional benefits for you on the packaging. So trying to find that line of cool, new, not looking juvenile, not looking overly functional. And that was really hard for us because when you build brands for other people, you have all this objectivity, you have distance, you're like, do this, do this, do this. When it's your own brand, it's really, really hard.
Gotcha. And so when you get to the actual cereal, what's different about your guys' product aside from the packaging?
Everything is the easy answer, but typically cereal by definition is grains, right? So it's always corn, wheat, rice, oat. And with that, it's really kind of easy to puff it and make it into cereal O's or whatever shape you want to create it into. Anytime you're using a high protein plant-based ingredient, it's naturally so dense that it's really hard to recreate that cereal-like experience. And that's what I was maniacal about because I have a now almost 3-year-old, but having a little kid that wants to eat it, consume it, and feel it the same way we felt about cereal our entire life as kids. So recreating that was really, really difficult. And that was a lot of the innovation. So getting something without much protein. And then the flavor and sugar part, right? Cereals are just having an obscene amount of sugar. And so getting something that tastes yummy and sweet, but doesn't have 20 grams of sugar is difficult too. So there were a ton of different things that we had to change in what the actual makeup of cereal is. And ours is chickpea, pea protein, tapioca, organic cane sugar, monk fruit. So they're all ingredients you know how to pronounce, you know how to read. And so it's really different for the category. And I think that's what really excited buyers as well.
So
that's awesome.
70% less sugar, but it doesn't taste like that. So anytime you usually buy a low sugar cereal, it tastes like a low sugar cereal. And if you ask moms or anyone what they want, everyone started to wake up and realize that cereal is just basically dessert in the morning. So when you only have 3 grams of sugar, when they normally have 11 grams of sugar, and then you have the equivalent of 2 hard-boiled eggs of protein coming from a complete vegan plant source, that's a crazy innovation. And then you're gluten-free and you're non-GMO and all the other things people care about. But that total inversion of the nutritional profile is what's so revolutionary. You couple that with a really cool-looking packaging at the right price, that's usually a good formula to do well.
Gotcha. So are you guys targeting the natural food distributors, or are you going to the major, like I know you mentioned Wegmans and Whole Foods, or what's your association with grocers? Are you willing to go to the Walmarts and Targets of the world, or do you want to keep it more?
So we think it's a little bit early to go to retailers like that. I think for us, it made strategic sense to, hey, let's go into retailers where consumers are looking for that product. You go into Whole Foods, you're looking for something better than what you'll probably find at Walmart. And so I think eventually brands get to a point where they graduate and go to Walmart and become really mass and it's a household name, and you get there. But I think for us, as we start to build, become really well known in the natural world, and then you'll kind of just get there eventually.
Awesome. So it's very unique to have a family effort behind a company so early stage. So what's it like working with your partner? And where I know the little guy is the inspiration, but where does he come into play?
Yeah, so he's like the best taste tester ever, and will tell us if he loves something quickly. You can't beat him. Packaging doesn't matter. Ingredients don't matter. If he doesn't like it, he will let you know. But the other thing is here with the husband and wife team, as I mentioned, we've worked together before. So we've been lucky to work out those kinks that everyone is kind of probably facing now, being indoors. Like you're all sitting at home and now learning what your spouse is like at work and having to deal with them and your kid yelling in the background. So we've been lucky that we've dealt with that in the past. So one, quarantine has been relatively easy. And then just working together I think it's similar to when you start living together, right? You kind of start to understand who does what well. And similarly with work, we just figure that out over time. So I enjoy it. I like working with you.
I think we're fortunate what makes us work as a couple is that we're strong in different categories. So I come from the more sales marketing side, and Margaret is a born operator, loves the numbers, loves the details. So she handles so much operations, logistics, where's the shipment, where's the ingredients, where's the product, and I'm focused on making sure the brand's out there, we're sampling right, we're building up the right sales team. So we don't step on each other's toes too much, and that's just any good business. You don't need too many people doing the same job.
Very cool. So we have a question from the audience. Richard Stanzik wants to know, how do you source and test ingredients?
That's a great question. So the process was 2 years. And so one, in that we were finding a facility that was the right size facility that could produce what we needed. Cereal is made on really expensive and really special equipment. And so that was one thing on just the actual sourcing, how to get it done. And then once you're sourcing ingredients, we tried 1,000 different ingredients. So taste mattered, quality mattered, supply mattered, where it's coming from. And there's a ton of little things that I kind of had a list, and everything was like a checklist of, does it pass this test? Is it non-GMO? Is it sustainably sourced? What are the lead times? And just like that, you kind of weed out what your ingredients are and why you use them. And then on the ingredient side of why I picked certain ingredients, it had to be something I was comfortable with consuming myself and feeding my kid. And that's why we went with what we went with.
Very cool. What's the ultimate ambition of the brand? Is this something that you guys want to keep and grow yourselves, or do you aspire to sell to a Kraft or a General Mills or somebody like that?
So I think the first inspiration is wanting to go build something for yourself that you could own, no more clients, no more feedback, just entirely yours. You could chart your own destiny. Obviously, we've all read about and seen some incredible exits of companies. So that's always something in your mind. But what you learn quickly, it's the same reason if you're trying to get rich, you don't go for the money, you go for what you're passionate about and the money follows. If we just run this the way we run our ad agency, which is a good business, run it like a great business, make sure you're making money, as we're seeing the collapse of all these venture-backed businesses that are just burning cash to get to the next fundraise. We've raised money because there's kind of no way to not raise money, but we're not thinking, okay, growth at all costs, raise the next round, growth at all costs, raise the next round. And we've also heard anecdotally through the small world of natural food is all the strategics that are looking to acquire no longer care about just all numbers and brand. They want to see that you know how to build a good business. So ultimately, our names on the packaging, we have some really cool innovation. It would be amazing to build the next Kellogg's and the next General Mills or one of those incredible food companies, and that's kind of what we're sought out to do. But that doesn't mean that if someone comes and offers some sum of money, we're not going to be morons and not say, well, that's a good idea.
Right. So is it easier in terms of fundraising for consumer product goods or consumer packaged goods to attract investors that understand a slow grow business versus the venture model that a lot of companies are going after these days?
Yes, it was definitely one of the biggest things we've learned is like make sure you pick your investors because they need to not just believe in you, they need to be on the same page. So most of the people that we have love consumer goods and understand the consumer goods space, especially since we're going with a traditional brick and mortar retail game. There are a lot of people doing direct to consumer. We're doing direct to consumer, but it's a small portion of the business. The main business where 90+% of people, maybe after Corona it changes, but most people like to still, as much as they might like to go to Macy's, they do like to go to grocery stores and pick their food. So winning at shelf is an expensive proposition. And all the people that are on board do understand consumer packaged goods. We don't have investors that come from tech that are in our space at all. So they kind of get what we're doing and completely support us. And there are some people that we got, just like when we've hired people before, we've had some weird situations, or we've only made sure that people that put in really support us and are on the same page. We don't want to feel like we have some numbers we have to hit, they're gonna kill us. I think we lost him. Mason?
Hey, sorry guys, technical difficulties.
Okay, I thought your new dog ate you.
He's going nuts right now, but I'm not sure what happened. But no, we appreciate that insight. One of the other questions from the audience was, obviously you're on shelves, but during the pandemic, is there a way to get your product online, and where can they find your product if it is online?
Yeah, you can find us on Amazon, and they ship pretty quickly. So that's great. You can, if Instacart delivers in certain areas, you could get us through Wegmans or some of these other retailers that we sell in. And you can also get it on our website, delicioucereal.com.
Awesome. Well, so do you guys have like a mission to your brand, or is there something, bigger than just the product that drives this whole operation?
Yeah, so for us, the goal is to really take foods that we all love that are junky and not that great for you and just reinvent them with better, clean ingredients and just not sacrifice on taste and bring them to the masses. And whether it's cereal or some other things we have baking behind the scenes.
But I also find when you ask mission, it's the same reason a lot of people say community. There's a lot of hot buzzwords out there that people just love to say, we found our purpose. I think a lot of brands and companies that are searching for their purpose are humongous mega corporations that have completely lost their way and have no understanding of where their place is in the world. And so they try to chart some ethereal course they need to go on. I think for us as people that are inherently brand builders, as much as we think like we're making a better breakfast for America, and the more we get it into people's cabinets and the more cool, innovative things we can do, we can really help America get healthier. But we haven't spent the time. It feels like something you do 10 years in the business when you start, figuring out our purpose and our layers and this. Right now, we got to go. We are a lean team. We need to get into people's mouths, and when we're steering the brand and the ship, we kind of know where we want to take it, but we don't spend too much time thinking because that's not really the entrepreneurial way.
So for the sake of all the people that logged in, you hinted at some new product. Can we get any more insight to that, or do we have to wait and see?
You gotta wait and see.
I mean, you can hint at flavor, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
so product, you gotta wait and see. But in terms of what additional flavors we're gonna have coming out, we have a cocoa that we're working on. That's gonna be really exciting. And we have some other fun flavors that'll start talking about.
The thing I will allude to is that for the same reason you see certain startup companies or whatever, they start with where the biggest opportunity was. So we saw cereal as the way in. But once you have a brand that people have an affinity towards, you can add more SKUs in other categories. And if you've earned their trust, they will then try you in the other spaces. So there are other categories in the food space that are outside of cereal that probably we found the same situation where it's very unhealthy. And with a lot of work, but we could actually make a much better product. If that makes sense and it could wear the 3 Wishes badge, which we would say is, can we make it more rich with protein? Can we reduce the sugar? Can we keep it gluten-free? And if there's grain-free? If we could keep those tenets, that's the 3 Wishes brand promise. We can go into those categories because, as you mentioned with Walmart or convenience stores, cereal doesn't belong in necessarily, you don't see it in gas stations, but gas stations or in convenience stores, and snacking is a huge opportunity in America as everyone's on the go except for Corona time. So we want to be able to take our brand to these places with the appropriate product in those locations. So that's something that we're working on, but it takes probably a year for us to come up with an idea and start working on it behind the scenes before it's ready to hit market.
Okay, so another question from the audience. How many years into this are you guys, and what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned from the growth of 3 Wishes?
So we are now 2.5-ish years in.
Launched for 5 months.
So 5 months from when we launched, 2.5 years from when I'm like, okay, let's make a cereal and actually having one on shelves. And then, what was the second question?
What's harder? What's the hardest thing?
Hardest thing? I don't think there's anything easy about it. I feel there's like there's something hard every day. There's a logistical nightmare and fire to put out every minute. But
we heard you had to cut off Amazon just to do the interview.
What?
We heard Margaret had to cut off Amazon just to take this interview.
Yeah.
But even when we were fundraising, I thought this was going to be a boom, boom, boom. I thought everything was going to be a boom, boom, boom. I thought we got the thing, we got the boom, I got the thing. I mean, and we got a lot of people didn't invest in us early on. I was kind of cavalier, and they were like, he has no idea how difficult this is going to be. He doesn't like, he's making it sound too easy. And then you live it and you're like, oh my God, this is so much harder than I ever thought. And there's nothing you could say other than when you get into it, there's no system. Everything's just like, everything that goes wrong can go wrong. Every truck that can break down, every ingredient that can't hit the dock, everything is a problem.
I have a new appreciation for every store shelf and every product I see, and every discounted penny you see behind that product goes 1,000 different ways. So like, you learn so much. It's painful. It's been interesting.
I would say that's been my biggest thing, actually. The freaking cost of goods. And I don't mean just in general. When you come from like the advertising agency world, right? The client could give you, I got $500,000. I have $250,000. And they go, I only got 100. Whatever it is, you adjust to the budget. It's not a big deal. You're not worrying about 10,000, 20,000. They're rounding errors on the project. In cereal, every single penny is a humongous difference. The cost of your box, the cost of the outer, the cost of it's crazy. And so you have to, it's not the kind of business that I'm suited to do, but Margaret's so perfect for it because she is such a numbers person and she appreciates how important every penny is. And there is a huge component to this business.
Gotcha. Well, I'll have to say to your fundraising point, I know Kiva came in your last round and he's one of the more sophisticated people in CPG that I've met. So you guys must have figured out something. I have to give a shout out to your business card. This is the coolest business card that I've ever been sent. So I'm just going to show everybody. I guess I shouldn't put your phone number out there, but
it doesn't matter.
Call us.
It's awesome. So thank you guys for the product. Thank you for coming on. We look forward to following the growth and hopefully we'll check back in down the line.
Thanks, Mason. See ya. Take care.